People don't have yards around their houses in England. A yard is something about this big. They have gardens instead. And in England, everybody is a gardener. Everybody. Well, with a few exceptions. In fact, it's a law. You have to be a gardener. My parents always rented houses. Why was this? Because they couldn't get a mortgage. Their gardening score was too low. We also moved around a lot. We'd rent a house. And for some reason, in a month or two, the garden kind of went into decline. My parents were really bad gardeners. So we were kicked out, and we'd move again and again. One day, for example, we got into this lovely house in Southampton, in the south of England. It was fun for a kid. It had a chicken run with chickens. But my mother, who was Norwegian, was delighted because in the back of the garden, they had blueberry bushes. And she said to my father, "Don't kill those blueberry bushes, whatever you do." So he went to the library and he found out how to take care of blueberry bushes. He found out that they loved a low pH value. So I was sent off to the ironmonger to get something to lower the pH of the soil. So I came back with this gallon jug of something called spirits of salt. They guaranteed this would lower pH. And my father put this stuff in a galvanized watering can, and it kind of bubbled and hissed. Watered the plants with it. And then we went in to have lunch, and when I came back, all we saw was this kind of black slime. Now, spirits of salt is the English word for muriatic acid. It sure lowers pH. But England also is good for gardening because it's the ideal conditions. It's been gardened successively for 5,000 years. Recently, you know the monument, the stone monument, Stonehenge, that everybody thought was an astronomical calculator?
Hello?
They found out it actually was a compost heap. People from all over the country came in and they brought their food scraps, their weeds, the occasional virgin, and they tossed it into the pile. And then they came back from Stonehenge with a wheelbarrow full of compost, and they amended their soil. And you do this for 5,000 years and you get magnificent soil. It's almost impossible for plants not to grow. Only a few people manage to make plants not grow, and my family was in that group. One day, of course, they have a government agency called GI5 that makes sure that people are up to the proper gardening standards. And I was hauled away in the middle of the night in one of these trucks. We call it a Black Mariah. It's really a paddy wagon. And I was in there with these rapists, these murderers, these people that duplicate CDs. I was the only non-gardener there. So anyway, I was hauled up in front of a judge, and they wear these silly wigs. And he said, "Well, we've given up hangings, so we can't do that to you. We're going to deport you to the United States." So anyway, I came to the United States and explained to Customs the reason that I was kicked out of England. And he said that the United States is a great country. Anybody that's persecuted for religion, politics, or lack of gardening skills is welcome here. And he also told me that one of the nice things about the United States, there really aren't any gardeners. Everybody either has a landscaper if they're wealthy, or they fill their yards with dead pickup trucks if they're not wealthy. So anyway, I started living in New York City, and it was a great place. Nothing grows in New York City except in Central Park, but you don't dare go in there. But unfortunately, I started having nightmares. I had nightmares that gardeners were going to come and attack me. So I went to my psychiatrist. Everybody in New York has to have a psychiatrist. And he said, "You've got to move somewhere that's safer than New York City. Go to somewhere where nothing could grow at all, not even like Central Park." So he sent me out to New Mexico. bought this farmhouse in Lemmerton. As some of you may know, it's a little village. And I was happy there for a while. I had a 5-acre field, and it was beautiful. Nothing grew at all. So I talked to my neighbor who was farming chili peppers. I said, I want to become a farmer. What do I have to do? He said, well, you've got that nice field. Put up a barbed wire fence on the east side, and then water it. The field, I mean. And is that all there is to becoming a farmer? He said, yeah. So I went to the local ironmonger in Socorro, hardware store, and got some T-poles and some barbed wire, and I put up a fence. And I went out and I watered this field with my watering can. It takes a long time. So anyway, I noticed these little things growing, and they grew bigger and bigger. And this neighbor guy was right. I didn't have to do anything else. The winds came in, and all the tumbleweed blew up and caught on the barbed wire fence. So I packed it up and I shipped it off to New York. The New Yorkers bought this stuff like crazy. One year I even made the front cover of Neiman Marcus catalog, a his and hers tumbleweed. He has everything. So then I met Solange. And I knew that this was the woman for me. So I went down on one knee and asked her the question I just had to ask her. I said, are you a gardener? And she said, no, silly, I'm Jewish, we don't do that. So anyway, we moved to Cleveland and we had this house, and it had a half an acre of garden in a nice suburb. Everybody else had landscapers. And it sort of went into decline through my tender cares. We went, for example, to a class given by a local master gardener, and he told how to take care of a lawn. He said, whatever you do, don't cut it too short. Never cut off more than a third of the grass. So I went out to my grass and I measured it, and it was 12 inches high. So I set the lawnmower at 8 inches. Even that didn't please our neighbors. They were getting really, really upset at us. So then we decided, I persuaded Solange, we had to move to New Mexico. It was such a wonderful place. So we took a tour around the state, determined to buy a house somewhere out in the country, nice and peaceful, no neighbors, no hassles. What house do you think we bought? A house with a garden designed by 2 Doña Ana master gardeners. And we are struggling. We took this class so we wouldn't kill it. We don't kill it completely. And it's coming along. It's sort of holding its own. Gradually, I hope that we're becoming gardeners. Thank you.